I finished.
Great, so we have 3 more minutes in, and don't forget, I think we forgot to show the slide that we have a breakout room, the chill out room on Zoom, and yeah, don't share the link publicly.
And Blair, would you be sharing your webcam as well?
I certainly can.
Just out of curiosity, anyone here from Sitecore Content Hub?
Are you talking to the audience, or are you talking to the organization?
Yeah. Well, this is kind of an awkward case where I was doing a prep for this demo. I was going through all the demo and it worked fine. As soon as I start share my screen, I get 500 error when I log in. So
hey, just as
I
intended.
can't log into my Content Hub environment anymore. So if anyone here from Content Hub can look into this, that would be great.
Post it in the Slack in the Content Hub channel.
Yeah, already did.
That's the best we can do.
Way to log a ticket.
Yeah, did you add a support ticket was going to be my next suggestion. Wait for a few days.
Yeah.
Well, it's a real live demo. What could possibly go wrong?
That's how you know it's a demo.
Sounds like we're on track.
That is, and I was actually recording my session literally 45 minutes ago, my mock presentation session. So worst case scenario, I can show you what I recorded 45 minutes ago with my commentary. I don't know which screen you're seeing, and the one on the 500 there.
Media player with the video
Okay,
loaded. And you guys can actually get started. It's 10:09.
Yeah. Change screen to. Can you see my second screen?
Still see the media player.
Yeah, this is the media player that we're seeing.
So in the sharing tab, there's a big play button. Right under the play button, there's a screen and a drop down.
Yep.
Yeah, now we see the 500 error and your
Great.
password.
That's exactly why I wanted to show. Okay. Regardless, let me start, I guess. It's 1:10, at least in Toronto, and let's get started. Can everyone see my first presentation screen?
Yes.
All right, so I'll get started. Hi everyone, let me introduce myself first. My name is Jae, and I'm a Sitecore developer at Veltec. And I am with Blair. Blair, you can introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Blair Roebuck, and I am the head of marketing and data science at Veltec within North America. And I am also a proud Sitecore strategy MVP. My practice and my passions really lie within the Sitecore XP suite and making clients' dreams a reality and getting that ROI from the platform.
Thanks, Blair. So for the past couple of months, few months actually, I've been implementing Sitecore Content Hub, and I want to take some time to share some of the features of Sitecore Content Hub and talk about some possible use cases for it, especially with Sitecore personalization. So before we start, please donate. This goes towards the fight against COVID-19, and any amount counts. So please go now and donate. Also, there's a break room where you can access and using this link right here. So what is Sitecore Content Hub? Content Hub is where you can plan, create, approve, store, organize, and access your digital assets. It's a single source of truth for your organization's digital assets. So it's where the one place you go to download your digital assets, and Content Hub can achieve that this content nightmare, get rid of this content nightmare where one content might live in Dropbox, one content might be living in SharePoint, and etc. So how can it help? So it helps in different modules. So the main module is digital asset management, DAM. So DAM is a system where you can store, share your organization's digital assets, and these digital assets can be images, videos, audios, documents, 3D renderings, and any other file you can think of, like Photoshop file, etc. Now, this sounds a lot like Dropbox, but in some ways, yeah, it is, but most ways it's not. DAM is more focused on asset management, so not just file storage. One of the biggest advantages of it is its search capabilities. So you can search assets using different metadata that's associated with those assets. You can search through taxonomy or tags that might be associated with those assets, and those tags may be added manually or automatically. And I'll get to that a little bit later. Also, it helps with security, and because using those tags or metadata, depending on them, you can control the access. Maybe you have a tag or taxonomy saying this is to be used in social media. And if it has that tag, you can set a rule saying that, oh, only people who has the user group called social media marketer can access that asset or download that asset. And everyone else can only view that asset with watermarks on it unless they request permission, more permission to download that through administrator. So, and those are some neat features of ADAM. And there are 3 more modules. Product Content Management, which is PCM, is a system that stores information about products like SKU number, product details like color, dimensions, benefits, price, and anything you can think about a particular product. You can store all that. And the thing, the great thing about this and the integration of this with them is you can link those uploaded assets with the product. So you can search for a product and get all the related assets that are related to this product. Other 2 components of Content Hub is Content Marketing Platform, CMP, and Marketing Resource Management, MRM. So CMP is a module in Content Hub which helps organizations plan and create, collaborate, manage assets for different campaigns and audiences. It's basically a workflow helper. And MRM is a project management tool for marketing projects. Those are very high level descriptions of them. So these were the high overview of the 4 major components of Sitecore Content Hub, where the DAM is the biggest and the most significant part of Content Hub. And I will show you around the Sitecore DAM itself and actually demo it on the live environment if it works. So let me pause sharing my screen for a second. And share my second screen.
What was your container address?
Veltexca SuGCON.stylelabsdemo.com. Maybe someone can help me get out of this situation.
Yeah, if you can just copy paste that address, that would be helpful.
Yep. Message.
Yeah.
Yep, still getting 500 error. So I have, luckily enough, I don't know if that's lucky, but I have a recording of me presenting from 45 minutes ago. I was doing a mock presentation myself, and of course I recorded the wrong screen, and it's just a desktop.
You can try adding query string force passive equals true.
I will
Pardon me?
paste you in the chat.
Yeah, please paste in the chat.
So something like this.
As I said to Minjay before other people joined, it wouldn't be a Sitecore demo without a little bit of troubleshooting. And I can think of
Exactly.
no better
It's a
avenue
live
and smarter
debugging.
people to help.
Still getting the 500 error. Let me try in Firefox.
Minjay, perhaps while you're troubleshooting that, we can actually dive into the personalization story, and I can take it from here.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think we might as well. Because really what Minjay and I have been talking about a lot leading up to this engagement and this discussion is that Content Hub is this fantastic tool. There's Sitecore XP, which is this incredible tool, and they actually help one another. But when I work with clients from an XP suite, we see that we have a lot of clients who can't really seem to have the world successfully aligned. And so that's really what we want to talk to you today about. So let me share my screen. All right. And I will just ask Una if she can see my screen.
Yep, we can see
Yep,
it.
we can see
Perfect.
it.
Wonderful. All right, so I want to talk about how these worlds coalesce. And then when Minjay has his environment up and running, he'll show you the technical underpinnings. What my part is showing is more of the user interaction, the business transformation, the governance piece of making these two really fantastic tools shine together. So in our time together, I want to talk about the promise of Sitecore XP and how we can take that promise and make it a reality. But I also want to talk about some very real conundrums that we see with clients. There's the Content Conundrum and the Client Conundrum, and I'm going to walk you guys through what those both look like. Then I'm going to actually take some time to show how the worlds can be united through our methodology. And so that will be explaining how we take these great tools in the abstract concepts and then apply them to your day-to-day life and your day-to-day teams. And then, of course, I'll leave most time for Minjay to do his demo, and then questions that you guys may have for us. So the promise of Sitecore XP, I think we've all heard it many times before. It's the right content to the right user at the right time. And by having the right content to the right user at the right time, we get a single view of the customer that we're able to understand exactly who they are from day one and their customer evolution. And this is fantastic. It's enabled through tools like personalization, A/B testing, lead scoring, marketing automation, the forms. The XP suite makes all of this possible and makes it possible in a fashion that's digestible, consumable, and manageable for the content author, which is fantastic. However, there's a bit of a client conundrum that happens when clients have the tool in their hands. They get Sitecore, they understand the broad concepts, but they're not really sure how to use the tool, and thus they're not seeing that return on their investment right away. And so there was a client who actually summarized this really well for us. He said, we feel like we bought the Cadillac, but we don't know how to drive it. And that's where all of us on this call, all of us who are participating in SUGCON, those who are passionate about the platform, that's where we come in. That's where we can really help clients shine, is making them feel like they have the catalog and they know how to drive it. So I guess the main question is, how does this happen? How does it get to the point where clients have this fantastic tool that they know has the capabilities, but they kind of stumble about? Well, the first is that there's a lack of education. The client will get really excited. They'll consume the content. They'll be excited for what is possible. But there's a disconnect between reading about it and doing it, and knowing and understanding the nomenclature. So, when Minjae is talking about a DAM, do we understand what a DAM means in the context of Sitecore? Do we understand what personalization, what A/B testing, what personas, what all of these concepts mean when we're talking about Sitecore? Because they do have very specific use cases that are easy to use once you understand them. But sometimes we get so excited to use the tool that we forget to take a moment to make sure we're talking in the same language. The second misstep that we see with a lot of individuals is that there's a lack of strategy. There's excitement around Content Hub, there's excitement around Sitecore XP, but if we overlook the overarching strategy that unites them and then aligns it to your business needs, we find that it won't take as well. And then lastly, we see that there's a lack of visibility across business units. This is something that I think is transforming for all businesses, the notion of silos. Traditionally, we used to see marketing in one section, IT in another, business development in another. And what we're seeing more and more in that is that tools that Sitecore are bringing to the table are not meant for one siloed industry. They're actually meant for an entire organization. And by using these tools, this is how you actually create digital transformation. But to make sure that those digital dreams are met, you have to make sure that the organization is talking to one another. And so this becomes really true when we're thinking about tactical deployments of personalization using Content Hub as your central source of truth of content. We need to make sure that the content producers, the personalization owners, the tech leadership in the organization are all speaking to one another from day one. And again, it builds up. If they're all talking to one another, they're aligned on the strategy, and they've had the education and are speaking the same language, they're laying the foundation for a really rich conversation and an ongoing optimization plan using Sitecore as their ecosystem to drive digital transformation. So I mentioned that there's the client conundrum, but then there's also the content conundrum. And the content conundrum is when we have very good familiarity with the tool, how to use it, how to execute it. We've identified our key performance indicators. We've identified our audience. We've even validated with data and drafted what our optimization roadmap looks like and how we want to personalize on the website. And then we get to the exciting moment where it's time to create your personalization scenario on the website. And all of a sudden, everything comes to a screeching halt. And the unsung hero for personalization, I always say this to clients, is content. It is the facet that is often overlooked, but will make your personalization from an abstract idea to a reality. But oftentimes, content is thought about at the last second. And so when we're ready to do personalization, we have all this excitement and build up to it, and it's time to go live, stand still. And this sometimes happens because there's either a realization that there's a lack of content, so the content that you want for the experience perhaps doesn't exist. There's another scenario that we often find where the 11th hour, someone hasn't approved the content, so it hasn't actually given the okay. So we have to make sure that it goes through the proper checks and balances. And other times we see that certain pieces of content do not fit the component for which they were intended to be personalized to. So there's a bit of misalignment on technical requirements. All of these solutions and all of these challenges leads us to a scenario where we're in the Cadillac, but we forgot the key to start it. And that's really what content is. Content is the key to taking your personalization to the next level and making it, allowing it to take flight, really. Which really leads us to our methodology, where we like to make sure that we align content and personalization together. And the underlying platforms for that is using Content Hub and Sitecore XP hand in hand. So at Valtech, we have a practice that I lead dedicated to this methodology, where we want to make sure that we understand the user's journey. We understand the content there to fulfill it, and it's all being elevated and experimented with with Sitecore personalization. And this is a constant ongoing optimization program. With the inclusion of now the Content Hub, the capabilities are only greater. And what it has allowed us to do is it allowed us to truly align on the strategy, the content strategy, and the personalization strategy from day one. So what we see now is that our content is being considered at the very beginning of a project rather than being considered at the end when it's time to go live with personalization. So we think about all of those capabilities that Minjae just walked us through when we're talking about the overarching Content Hub with DAM, CMP, PCM, MRM. These are really crucial because we want to not only structure, tag our content, but we want to structure and tag it in the context of the business user, in the context of how we're going to use this content for more than one scenario. And so we use the Sitecore DAM solution to structure and tag the content. We use CMP because we want to think about how does this content align to the various journeys that we've mapped out, that we envision, that we see in the data perhaps. We want to make sure that the data and the content is always tracked and relevant so that there isn't that question of, is this the right piece of content? We know it's the right piece of content. We know it's been approved. We know that it is structurally sound. It fits for the technical requirements. And then lastly, we want to make sure we're scheduling and managing personalization along with content schedules. Personalization should be treated not as a cumbersome stream, but certainly as an independent stream that has a lot of inputs from others. And so when we think about content in this fashion, using Content Hub, it allows personalization to be a lot more natural because we've already given thought to how content fits not just within the Sitecore ecosystem, but within the customer journey. So when we layer in our personalization roadmap and how we want to personalize the experience, you can see that we already can start to plug in the content that makes the most sense. And because we've given this a lot of thought going into the content, the output is really, really straightforward, where we're able to move the users through relevant material to satisfy their desires, but also to optimize journeys to drive conversions and achieve business goals. What we also are able to do is we're able to test and validate. Does our content make sense for the audiences? Is our investment in the right place? What we want to make sure is that we're really staying true to Sitecore's vision, which is the right content to the right user at the right time. And the way that we're able to stay true to that is through this methodology and the strategic thinking upfront, but continually optimizing and looking at the metrics. Sitecore has a rich repository of data and analytics, looking at your engagement value score, looking at the level of interactions with your pieces of content and saying, is this the right content for our users' needs? Is this the right content at this time? So that's where we want to continually think about our strategy, the business needs, and staying true to Sitecore's vision of right content, right user, right time. Now, thinking from a governance perspective, because that is always the underlying factor here, it's important that there is visibility across streams. And I have 4 different roles on the screen that you see here today. Doesn't mean it has to be 4 different people. In fact, some organizations, this may be all one person. It really depends on the size and scale of your team, but it's intended to be flexible and malleable so that it's a solution that's scalable well into the future for your business team and size. But the idea here is that we have the content author, personalization owner, content producer, and technology lead. And what we want to identify in this piece of it is that there needs to be visibility across the organization so that when personalization is ready, all of the relevant parties have had the conversation they need to. So we're thinking about, the content author. They're responsible for tagging and maintaining those assets in Content Hub. They'll be accountable for updating the tags as they evolve. They want to be consulted, though, on what artifacts would be best to satisfy the user's experience. And then they need to be informed on the deployment of personalization. And you can see throughout the slide that these roles, accountability, consulted, informed matrices, evolve depending on the user, but the consistent theme is visibility. Another way that we make sure that we keep visibility in check is through RACI charts that you can see on the screen, but also tracking the pages. And so we have, in the Content Hub, you're able to track these user experiences, you're able to track these campaigns. We really like to mirror that process and have that extension of complete visibility. So understanding what personalization rule you're tracking, on what page, what component, what is the content you're serving, how is it stored in Content Hub, description of the experience, as well as benchmark metrics. Metrics and data are for everyone. It's not just for the analyst, it's not just for the personalization owner. Metrics and data are for everyone. So knowing how your personalization is performing helps inform decisions going forward across the division, across the board. And that includes your content authors and your content creators. Knowing what content is working, and more importantly, probably what content is not working, is crucially important. And that's why we really think that using Content Hub and the strategic elements and pairing that with your personalization roadmap at the outset of a project, rather than trying to marry them at the end of a project, is extremely crucial and creates a long-lasting optimization program. I'll pause here and see, Min-Jae, how you're doing on the troubleshooting.
Yep, I'm in. Thanks to everyone at Sitecore.
Wonderful. So then, without further ado, I'm going to pass this on to Min-Jae, who's going to walk you through an actual demo of Content Hub and how this becomes a reality.
Can you make me a presenter?
I am trying to.
Great. I'll show my screen and hopefully you see the correct screen.
Yep.
Right. So back to Sitecore Content Hub. Once you get to log into the system, which I just did, you'll be presented with a home screen, just like it looks like a normal search page like Google, where you can search for assets. But this is not the most interesting page, so I'm going to just skim it over and go to the most important page of Content Hub. So this home page has a search bar, your most recent collections of your assets, your saved searches, and your selections of assets. This is basically like a bookmark or favorites tab on your browser just for your assets. So the most interesting page is the assets page. This assets page is where all your assets live and where you can search for your assets and find the one that you need to use and then actually download it and use it, or create public links and then share that links with everyone online so they can use it. So first, you can see a grid of all the assets that are available. Right now there's 209 items, and I see all 209 items because I am a administrator. But if you're, let's say, a social media marketer, maybe you're from a different agency and you were given access to this system to help in marketing and social media, they might only see 50 assets or 100 assets depending on their permission level. And that permission level, as I talked earlier, can be set on taxonomy values. So I'm going to talk more about taxonomies and tagging and how they work. Before that, I would like to show how searching works on Content Hub, because that's the main feature that I love about Content Hub. So on the left-hand side, you see all these facets: asset type, asset creation region, asset media. These are all facets that you can click on. You might be familiar with it if you've used any of the search engines, especially with Coveo, let's say. For example, I'll select social media asset. As a social media marketer, maybe I want to see only the social media assets. So I click on that, and it passes through. I see 52 items. Maybe I want to see only JPG images, and I can filter through that, and I get now 39 items. Now I narrowed it down to a smaller portion. And perhaps I'm from Canada, and I want to see only the Canadian created images. So I want to go into North America. Now I see all the North American images. And if I want to be more specific than that, I can select Canada, and it narrows it down even more. Now I have 8 items, and I want to narrow it down to even more so that I find 1, 2, or 10 different assets that I can choose from. So maybe I want something to do with food, so I'm going to search for food, and I'm going to search for, maybe I want something to do with orange, so orange, and I get to the final item. This might be you might say that you have 8 images, right? You can choose from there, but as an enterprise company, you might have hundreds of thousands or even millions of assets to choose from, and this search capability really helps you narrow down to the asset that you want. And I'm going to show you how these facet values are added, and how content editors and photographers, reviewers, and DAM administrators can add these tags so it's searchable using these tags. So I'm going to clear all the filters, and I'm going to just click on the first item. And this is the asset detail page where all the detail about this particular asset lives. Top left corner, you see the thumbnail of the image, but in the middle section, you see the detail of the image. So you have the file name, title, tags, type, as you can see, social media asset, something that I use to facet through, asset creation region, another thing I used before to facet through, but Canada isn't in here, and image analysis section. So I'm going to go over these one by one, maybe perhaps not file name and title because they're very normal to a system like this. So under tags, tag is a really interesting feature in Content Hub in that I didn't set these tags manually. These tags are driven by the AI system provided by Microsoft, and it does an analysis on this image and finds all the relevant tags automatically. And it brings all these tags like food, table, plate, all relevant to this image, right? And these are all automatically generated by a service. Also, this description tag section right here is also automated and automatically generated by the algorithm. So a bunch of food sitting on top of a wooden table, very accurate description, and this is all driven by AI. But AI sometimes might not be the most accurate thing in the world, right? It's still in the development phase, and that's why you can set a confidence level saying, oh, I want to show only the tags and description that the AI algorithm thinks is 95 plus confident or 80% confident. So you can set those confidence level in the settings in Content Hub. So these taxonomy values and tags, you can all manually or automatically set. This type and asset creation region is something that I added manually, and all the values under it are set manually. So for my particular case, there's a lot of social media marketing campaigns going on with external social media marketers coming in to use these assets. So I added a type called social media asset. I set it to this social media asset, and this can also drive the security aspect where they can only see this, these external agencies can only see this asset when this type is set to social media asset. Also, asset creation region, this is another good example of taxonomy where you can set to North America or Europe or both, but you can go under these. For example, you go under Europe and you can set more specific countries under Europe, like France, or you can also have another level where you can go under Benelux and set Netherlands, Belgium, and potentially Luxembourg in the future. That's the taxonomy system, and these values are basically used to facet your searches, and this is how search is driven on Content Hub, and this how you can make this very intuitive for visitors to use the system. Wrong URL. Finally, on the right hand side, you see a lot of different metadatas. It can automatically pick out duplicates. As I mentioned before in the presentation, Content Hub really drives the single source of truth model. So you don't want to have duplicate images or assets. So it detects any duplicates and says there's a duplicate, you might want to get rid of one of them. Rights DRM is also a big part of the digital asset management, where you can link it to a rights profile. Maybe you got this from a stock image provider and you have a limited license where you can only use it in certain territories in certain media between April 1st of 2020 and April 1st of 2021. For example, this one has unlimited usage in terms of time, but you can only use this in Canada and on Facebook. As a content user, I can only see this request download button. I'm an administrator right now, so I can see all these buttons, but as a content editor or a content user, I can only use this button. So I'll click on that, and it asks for different, intended uses between the time of this and that, and where the territory and the media. I'm going to set this media type to, let's say Twitter. I want to use this on Twitter, and I'm going to check the rights, and it says, sorry, it's not authorized because this has to be used in Facebook. So I'm going to change this. I made a mistake. I meant by I'm going to use it on Facebook. So I'm going to change this to Facebook and check the rights, and it says usage authorized for Facebook, and show the reason why, and you continue, and you get this window saying you can download it now, and I'll download it. And that's how DRM works. Finally, on this page, there are some renditions that you can use. So as soon as somebody uploads an image, it automatically creates different renditions of that image or asset. I have to stop using the word images because you can upload much more than images. So as soon as you upload an asset, it automatically converts into different renditions. For in this instance, there's the original image, the original alternative metadata PDF. So if I click on this, I'll download the PDF version of this image, preview, which is a smaller resolution version of this image. You can see the different file size, better used for, let's say, a website thumbnail. So it automatically creates those, and you can download them separately for your use case. If there isn't a rendition for your use case, you can also do a custom download, and you can set the color profile. Maybe you want PNG, you want to crop it, you want to make it a square to make it look nice on Instagram, and you can request a download right here. Of course, all of these actions that I'm doing, you need permission for, but also good thing is all the things that I'm doing right now is available via the API, the Content Hub API. So all the actions that I'm doing right now, you can do through the API. And you can also create public links. So you can create it so you can share it with other people. You share this link with other people, and they can just view the image without logging in. And you can set expiry date, or you can set it so that it never expires. And you can also set a resolution of what you want to share, like 350 by 350 or the original. That was the asset detail page. So I hope this showed you how you can set these taxonomies and tags so it's easily searchable. And the machine learning, the AI tool that automatically puts the tag into images so that it's easily full text searchable, like the food example that I gave with orange, like that. Next is how a creator would do workflow. So as a photographer, I might only have access to this create page and not any other pages, just the create page. As a photographer, I might only have permission for this page. So I can upload a file, and I can choose a file, and I'll upload it. Once I upload it, it'll go to the review phase where a content reviewer can review the image, say, oh, this image looks good, or maybe some of these tags are not accurate, so I want to get rid of it. So I can edit these, maybe the title to something that suits this image, and this isn't a gravy, so I'm going to get rid of those. These are mostly accurate. I don't think this is a curry, so I'll delete that and save it. And I'll approve this. And once it gets approved, it'll go straight to the asset section. And from then on, anyone who has access to this image or asset can use it. Finally, I want to go into the collections tab where you can create collections and collaborate with other people. So this tool really helps manage your assets and make sure these assets gets utilized to the campaigns or audiences that you're trying to appeal to. So I created a Facebook marketing campaign and I added some assets. And you can also add more assets later on. You can also share this with other people within your system and also outside of your system. So you can create this collection and get a link so you can share this with somebody external. And that's how you collaborate in Content Hub. I wanted to show you how it connects, all of these connects to Sitecore XP, but due to some errors that I'm having right now, I don't think I can show you that, but it's basically a iframe into your assets page where you can click on the individual assets here, and you can just choose an image just like you're choosing it from your media library in Sitecore. So as you can see, you see another button right here, browse from Sitecore DAM. What that does is it asks, and once you click that, it asks you to log into Content Hub. And once you're logged in, you get an iframe into this assets window. And you can do all the things that I've shown you, including faceting, searching, full text search, and find the asset that you need, click on use, and it'll just go right into here. And what it's doing is it's creating a public link, and using that public link, it's populating this field. You can also do this in the rich text editor. So you can add Content Hub images into almost every part of your Sitecore solution. And that's all the things that I wanted to demo with Content Hub and Sitecore. And now this is where I wanted to move to Blair hand it over to Blair and show you where these things can be used, but she already presented it, and I hope you get a better understanding of where this can be used and how this can help content editors find the right assets for personalization and other features that XP offers. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That was a terrific demo. Appreciate that. Got some good questions coming in. So I'd like to start with really coming off right where you're coming here with the content editor about using Content Hub. Can it be used as a full replacement of the media library with integrating with the content editor? Figured a good one to start with.
Yeah, so you can basically use this as your new media library. All the browse buttons for your media library, for example, this image section you're seeing. I think I stopped sharing my screen, but this image section, you'll get this extra button asking you if you want to populate the image from the DAM. So you can definitely replace it using Sitecore Content Hub.
Awesome, thank you. So next two we have on caching, right? How does media caching work? And is there a DAM, is this DAM using the CDN?
Yeah, so I believe it's the most case for most clients where they have multiple regions set, and Content Hub has multiple regions, and you can set it so that it caches in North America and Australia and Japan and in Europe, so that it automatically gets the image, the asset from the nearest location, so it has the lowest latency. So that is all configurable with Content Hub.
Awesome. Bunch coming in now. Can the Sitecore Hub images and assets be indexed in Solr?
I'm not too sure about that question. I'll have to get back to you.
Awesome. What about video streaming? Does the Content Hub support video streaming? I guess ultimately, let's talk about assets. Like you said, stop using the word image, right? Let's use the word assets.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, what about video streaming and other types of assets?
So great question. As mentioned before, I keep using the word image because the example that I gave was an example with the image. But you can upload any types of files. You can upload exe files if you wanted to, ISO, zip files. Actually, zip file is a great example because once you upload a zip within Content Hub, you can actually look through the contents of that zip without actually downloading it and opening it. You can also upload audio files and listen to it on Content Hub without downloading it. You can preview all that, and you can do the same thing with videos as well. So great question. You can upload any kind of asset, including video.
Very flexible, that's great. All right, so let's talk now about aspect ratios here. Can we play with the aspect ratio of the images in the DAM for different device types? In addition, I have another one here, so we'll talk both these questions. How do we deal with image sizes when the required ratio might be different from the original height and width of the website? Does the Content Hub produce variants or do some type of transformation?
Yeah, so there's different aspect ratio rules that you can set on renditions. So I showed in the example of rendition where once you upload it, it automatically creates different renditions. And you can also set aspect ratio there. So if you have a use case where you need a square image to show it as a thumbnail or use it in Instagram, because even though you can upload different aspect ratio, 1-to-1 aspect ratio on Instagram looks really good, for example. So you might want to create a rendition saying, oh, this whatever image gets uploaded, it's going to crop it so it's square, and it's going to be 1000 by 1000 aspect ratio. It's going to be automatically created as soon as you upload the image. You can set those rules.
Oh, that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Let's talk about the installation here and how this fits into the general experience, the entire Experience Cloud here. So where does Content Hub sit in terms of like in its relationship with Experience Platform or Commerce or any of the other Sitecore products?
So the last piece I showed was a Sitecore Connect for Sitecore DAM. It's a package you can download on download.sitecore. And it's just a package that you install to Sitecore XP. And what it does is it brings all these buttons and user interfaces that you can click on for content editors, and it connects to the Content Hub. So they can choose an image they want and upload it. Also, in that window, you'll be able to select different resolutions. So I talked about renditions earlier, different resolution that gets created automatically. It'll show different renditions as well. You can choose different renditions. So if you want a lower resolution image for faster load time, you can set the lower resolution rendition and click on use that, and it'll populate. So very well integrated with Sitecore XP. Sitecore Commerce, I haven't worked with Sitecore Commerce and Sitecore DAM, and I'm not sure if there's a connector out yet, and I would like to follow that up later on.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. So you're talking there about the different, doing a low quality image for, maybe bad bandwidth here. I have a question here. Can we do the same for the quality of the videos?
Videos, I believe you can compress it using renditions, and that I'll have to double check as well.
Okay. And then we have a bunch coming in here, so let me just kind of go through this. Here we go. Does the renditions use focal points, or is it user cropping? How does the cropping work?
So there's different cropping rules you can set, and one of the rules is setting the crop focus point to the middle, to the center of the image. But there are other rules you can set. There's a bunch of rules. I believe there's something called smart cropping, where it focuses to the middle of a popular point or a relevant point to the image.
Yes, and I'm probably sure you have renditions for the different social media points, right? How different aspect ratios based on, like you were showing with Facebook and Twitter and things like that too. I'd imagine they have different.
Yeah, you can set social media renditions, or even more specific than that, Facebook rendition or Instagram rendition, so that editors or content users can just go into the system and click on, oh, I want to download it for Facebook, and they don't even have to care about what those renditions even mean or what resolutions they are. They can just click on download for Facebook, and they'll get the renditions that they need.
Interesting. That's great. And then with a similar one with these, going with the same thread here with aspect ratios and renditions and things here, can can we request a different aspect ratio, scale an image up or down just based on like the URL?
I believe you can through the parameter, but I'm not sure if no, it won't get the renditions through the URL. You can't just change one part of the URL and get a different rendition. You'll have to create a different rendition to get a different resolution of an image. I'm sure that you can pass in a parameter or some sort to make it smaller within the browser itself, but the image that's being loaded will probably be the rendition that you're trying to get.
Yeah, fair enough. That makes sense. And then I see I got like 2 more here. We got about 4 minutes, so let's try to get through these guys. Can you bind multiple assets together, such as like a certain video would have this type of poster image with it?
Yeah, so that's a great use of a collection. So you can create collections for all different kind of stuff, and that's how you collect different assets. So if you have a marketing campaign, for example, for the next Google Pixel phone, you have multiple images and videos promoting that product, and you can collect them into this collection called Pixel Generation 5 or 6 marketing videos and marketing assets, and you can gather all these assets. And great part about these collections is that you can share with other people within your organization and external to your organization as well. I think you're muted.
That would help. Thank you very much. This is why it was good I turned the webcam on. All right. So one last question here. I think this will round out our questions. So have you done any experimentation with the CMP aspect here? There's someone here is asking if they're interested in hearing your experience creating structured content and injecting that into a Sitecore page itself.
Yeah, great question. For the past projects that I've worked with Content Hub, I worked with specifically the DAM and the PCM aspects, and in my opinion, those are the most popular features that we've implemented so far, but we haven't really touched on the CMP part yet. But there's great documentations online, and I'm sure that with a little bit of documentation reading, it'll be really easy to implement, because all these modules are based on top of the DAM module, the DAM that you just saw. It utilizes all of it, so it's very intuitive to get different new modules and new concepts, because the workflow and how you interact with the system is identical. It's just different modules that you're looking at, different features you're looking at. So
back to Blair's original point, if you had the content in there, being able to place the content on the page is probably in the most of the battle there, huh?
Yeah, that's the most of the battle.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys doing this. It was a fantastic talk. I know I learned a lot. Thank you both, Min and Blair. Appreciate your support here.
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. All right, with that, we are going to go to our next session here. We'll be starting in about 5 minutes with the JSS Your Data Your Way by Nick Hills.
That's right. Nick, you're on, right? If you are, yeah, there you go. Well, all dressed up, I see.
How are we doing?
Good. How about you?
Yeah, right, thanks. Yeah, I've been enjoying all the talks that we've seen today. It's real good.
Is that your new designer line?
That's it, yeah.
Cam's got the nice little Sitecore mask going on now.
Social distancing. It's our conference now.
You wash your hands?
No.
I figures.
Actually, I see your lips moving, but I don't hear you.
Oh, thank you for the webcam. So I was just commenting on how Jason's hands feel like he's stroking something. But thanks for all the donations. They've been going up steadily. Every little bit counts. So please, whatever you could afford, please donate. The link is virtual.succon.event/donate. And again, every little bit helps. You can only do, just do whatever you can afford. And it goes towards all the first responders, healthcare workers, and as you know, they're in the front lines at this moment. You see Cam and his crazy Sitecore mask. And also there is a break room if you want to chat with other attendees of the conference. You could do that, and also use the questions tab on GoToWebinar to ask any questions during and after the presentation. All right, I'm gonna set you as a presenter, Nick.
Real, thanks.